Hey everyone, so if you're in charge of doing any sort of outbound sales and prospecting for B2B or generally generating revenue for your business, there's probably a really good chance that you've been doing things completely backwards. Now, before you get upset with me or offended in any sort of way, let me explain. So one of the things that I've noticed, whether you're a VP of sales, a business owner, an account executive, sales professional, people are really in love with doing cold outreach. Now, don't get me wrong, I've done a lot of cold outreach. So I used to have an outbound sales agency in the past. I have Upticks, which by the way, is not just for cold outreach. It does more with lead nurturing and a whole bunch of stuff. This video isn't about Upticks. But one concept that I came up with in my past with my sales agency was a concept called a reverse sales funnel. RSF, that's what that is. And what the purpose of it is to reduce sales friction. So what I'm gonna do, instead of like going through and telling you about cold email and telling you about cold calling and LinkedIn prospecting and all the ways that you can generate appointments and traction for your business to sell more stuff, I'm gonna talk to you about the strategy, a high-level strategy that you can use to implement to reduce sales friction in your sales organization. And some of it might seem a little bit obvious, but 99% of the businesses that I've worked with in the past are not doing something like this because they're really focused on doing cold outreach a lot of the times. All right, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna flip it on its head here with our entire prospecting strategy, and I'm gonna go through my reverse sales funnel concept that can really help you with your outbound sales and prospecting. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Patrick Spielman. I'm the founder at Upticks, where we help B2B sales teams launch winning sales campaigns with the best sales process strategies and our sales automation platform, Upticks. But enough about me, let's get back to you. Okay, so step number one with the reverse sales funnel for your B2B selling process is focusing on your existing customers, okay? Now you're gonna think I'm crazy, right? And you've noticed the way I have this designed, it's called a reverse sales funnel for a reason. So it's meant to reduce sales friction. So the first people that we wanna really focus on are your existing customers. Now let me explain in just a second. By focusing on your customers, I'm not talking about having your reps call them up and direct selling them or anything like that. And maybe you have account managers to help you nurture your existing customers and building relationships and stuff like that. But your reps who are starting and building relationships with people, there's a really good opportunity to just stay in contact with them. And so you can do things like drip and nurture sequences. I'm not gonna get into that too much on this video. I just wanna stay really high level. Of course, from a business perspective, there's things that you should be doing from a marketing perspective, just educating your customers, staying in front of them, keeping them informed on new product updates and all that kind of stuff. But from a sales perspective, by staying in front of them, it can really help nurture the relationship. It can help you drive referrals. And there's a whole host of benefits that go into it that reduces, again, your sales friction. Okay, so that's what this entire thing is really all about, is reducing sales friction first. So the further down we go in this entire process, the more friction there is in selling. All right, so you're gonna think I'm really crazy with this one, but the next step in the reverse sales funnel is former customers. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, oh my God, they fired me, I'm not working with them anymore. Why in the heck would I focus on former customers? Because they're your best prospects. You've already built a relationship with them, and it's a lot easier to get your product and service in front of them. Maybe sometimes the timing was right, or is right, and maybe they decided, hey, maybe the grass is greener on the other side, and they went and tried a competitor. Or maybe a life event came up and they decided, hey, you know what, I need to put this on pause right now. Your former customers are the best people to stay in touch with. And the things I want to point out with these two, it doesn't take a ton of effort. If you're using a system like Upticks that can help schedule and manage and even automate some of this work, you can do it essentially on autopilot, okay? But you should have a bucket of former customers that you can touch base every 3 months, every 6 months, once a year, however often you want to do it. Drive the bus on the process. Build a sequential process in your roadmap that helps you basically just dictate and manage this entire process, okay? So the third campaign strategy in this entire process is something that I affectionately refer to as the friend zone, all right? So the friend zone, I'll just spell this out, and I have terrible handwriting. Maybe you've seen some of my videos in the past. It's awful, but the friend zone campaign are prospects who essentially gave you a maybe. They didn't tell you yes, they didn't tell you no, but you've met with them, right? You've had an opportunity to introduce your product or service to them, and you've built maybe the beginnings of a relationship, and they're sort of dragging their feet, right? What we want to do with this campaign is we want to push them through the campaign as fast as possible, all right? But if we can't get them through the campaign, we always want to make sure to nurture them for the long term. I can't tell you how many times in sales opportunities that I've lost in the past, and every single business owner and sales professional that I've talked to and brought this up to have told me the exact same thing, that they had a meeting with a prospect, it didn't go anywhere right at the time, and then they completely forgot about them. And maybe like a year later, 2 years later, or something jarred a memory in your head and you remembered that prospect. But all the while, what you could have been doing is staying in front of them. So step one of the friend zone campaign is trying to push them through the pipeline in the funnel as fast as humanly possible. But after that, if you don't get a yes or a no, that doesn't mean we give up on them. So just like our formers, just like our customers, we can put them into a nurturing campaign. All right, a long-term nurturing campaign. And this is simple. Step one, send an email out 3 months later, right? Step two, make a phone call, right? Step three, send an SMS, whatever it is. Build a process. The process is less important, and exactly what you do is less important than just doing it. So doing something is always better than doing nothing. But I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that just go, oh my gosh, you're totally right. I've had so many sales meetings in the past with people who were kind of interested, but I just moved on and I forgot about them. These are some of our best prospects, all right? So we can't forget about these ones whatsoever. Okay, so the fourth campaign that we can work on for outbound sales and prospecting here are not interesteds, all right? So people that you've actually met with, right, that told you no. All right, now I'm not gonna go all Grant Cardone on here because I think that logic is sort of dumb with the whole, not interested is an interested level. But people that told you that they weren't interested doesn't mean that they might not be interested in the future. I'm not telling you should waste a bunch of time on these people in the short term. What I'm saying is what we want to do, similar to these other campaigns, is we want to touch base with them every so often. And again, we can do this on complete autopilot. Sometimes, and a lot of times, life is about timing. If you're generating a lot of opportunities from cold outreach or even inbound marketing, there's a lot of times that people aren't quite ready to buy right then. They're doing fact finding. They're doing research, okay? And it might not be the right timing for a lot of reasons. Pricing, where they're at in their business, life events. There's a lot of different things that could go into somebody not being interested. Now, you can try to get clarity. And what I always like to do with this bucket is get acceptance for you to follow up with them in the future. So your prospect says, I'm not interested. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, totally understand. Hey, would you mind if I followed up with you periodically every few months, 3 months, 6 months, something like that, just to stay in touch? It's pretty low pressure, and most of the time, I would say more than 50% of the time, maybe even 75, 80% of the time, people are gonna say, yeah, sure. Circumstances change. All right, so this is a good one. Now we're gonna get into some of the realm that you're likely used to. So as you've noticed here, each one of these rungs, there's usually less volume, right? So you have less customers than you have maybe hopefully not less former customers, but you have less customers than probably people that have put you in the friend zone. Less customers than what people have told you they're not interested, right? So now we're getting colder and colder and colder as we go down. So the next step in this process are referral partners, channel partners, all right? If I can spell and you can read that, then congratulations, you're the winner of the day. But referral partners, so essentially what we want to do is we want to find synergistic companies, and now we're getting a little bit more into outbound prospecting, like actual outbound prospecting. This is a little bit more in lead nurturing, but from a sales perspective and doing outbound prospecting, you can drive the bus on this because you've already built somewhat of a relationship with them, okay? But in terms of referral campaigns, this is a little bit more of a concerted cold outreach. So what we want to do is we want to find synergistic businesses, right, that you can pass business back and forth. And if you're lucky enough to be in the market where you're selling a product or a service, globally or nationwide or something like that, you can scale this up pretty good. All right. But essentially what we want to do is we want to launch a campaign, and we want to try to get appointments on the calendar to build relationships with people who can refer business back and forth with you. All right, so this is a two-way street campaign. This takes a little bit more time to sort of get things going, but if you can launch a referral channel partner campaign, you can really add a lot of revenue to your business. And this is a pretty low pressure ask, right? So the way that we're approaching these referrals and channel partner opportunities is it's a two-way street. Hey, I want to see if, we can benefit each other's business. Now there's more strategy than you don't just want to email somebody with something like that, but essentially it's a win-win scenario. So usually people are interested in growing their business. Typically, not everyone is, all right? But it's pretty easy to approach these people, okay? So don't forget about building your channel partners. All right, so the last step in the entire process here, and you've maybe guessed it by now, is your traditional cold outreach, all right? So here's where you're prospecting for businesses, doing direct response sales with your ideal prospects who you can send an email, make a cold call, connect on LinkedIn, on social, whatever it might be, and you can book a meeting with them and have an opportunity to sell them right away. So as I've mentioned, of course, and you need to remember this concept of reducing sales friction, all right? Obviously, particularly if you have customers and you've been around for a little while, this is a really good strategy. So cold outreach, if you are doing cold outreach right now and you have all these other things in place, kudos for you. That's awesome. I'm glad you've implemented something like this into your business. But if you're in the business and you've been around for a little while and you haven't implemented this stuff, I'm not saying stop what you're doing on cold outreach, but you might want to consider pausing it for a second and starting to implement these rungs first before you get into cold outreach, all right? Because you probably have some golden nugget opportunities in these first 5 before you get to cold outreach. Cold outreach is the hardest part of all of this process. And there's a reason why we call it the reverse sales funnel, right? I've got bigger blocks down here, and we're focusing on hot leads first, hot customers, all the way down to leads, down to cold. Doesn't mean cold outreach isn't worth doing. It is absolutely worth doing. I'm just saying if you haven't implemented these first, it's probably a good thing to maybe put this on pause and start putting systems in place to cover these first 5. All right, and obviously there's a whole host of ways to do cold outreach. This training isn't specifically on cold outreach. It's to just get you thinking about this process in a little different way, starting to reduce your sales friction and really just nurturing and getting into the habit of following up with people in a sequential, structured sales process way that helps you get opportunities that you've had in the past, right? Nurture more, and you're gonna get referrals from current customers. You might get referrals from former customers. You might get referrals from people in the friend zone campaign. So staying in touch with all of these people, and referrals close at some of the highest rates, probably the highest rate of any of these prospects are gonna come from referrals. Now we have the referral campaign that's more for channel partners and stuff like that, but every single person that you nurture and that is in the top of this list is an opportunity to build a referral partnership with, or they know people that look like them that can refer your product and service to them, okay? So if you're not doing these things, take a look at implementing them into your business. In case you're not aware, Upticks, my sales automation software, helps with all of this stuff. So we help drive the bus on everything from nurturing all of these leads all the way to cold prospecting. And we can even service as your lightweight CRM. All right, so that's my training for today. Really hope you appreciated it. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. And if you got some value out of this video, I would really love if you would consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell so you get alerts anytime I launch new videos. I try to put out a lot of good, valuable content, and I build a lot of my content based on what people in my little realm are requesting. So I like to put out relevant content for problems that people are having so I can help them solve it. So I'm gonna put a couple extra resources up above just in case you're looking at, building out your sales team or doing any sort of prospecting or lead nurturing or sales automation or anything like that, so that you can grow your sales and win customers faster. So again, my name is Patrick Spielman. I'm the founder at Upticks. Appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you soon.